run us back to as early as you could remember and describe a little bit what it sounded like to be you, what it was like to, just the technologies and the vibes and everything before you had any control over any of it.
I grew up in a household full of music. My father, he was a jazz singer. Um, so jazz standards, listening to him practice, going to his shows. Early as I can remember, playing guitar with him. I had a guitar. He had one. I would play with him. As far as I can remember, is like one. Um,
Wow.
I just remember listening to soca. I have a lot of soca background, a lot of dance hall, reggae from my mom's, side. Um, and then there's just like my older brothers and sisters would always be putting me up onto like the Fat Boys. I grew up like beatboxing, so that was like major influence was the Fat Boys,
Wow.
Heavy D, shit like that.
Hold on. So,
Roxanne
y-
and
but in the mid,
just like
you
just shit
beatboxed
like
and
that.
played guitar at like that young?
Yeah. I was always I got
That's
a
crazy.
with me and my dad just sitting in the kitchen with the guitar. Um, that's like I grew up learning jazz standards. I grew up just listening to getting. I had a lot of time on my hands too, growing up by myself. My brothers and sisters weren't always around, and my family was kind of spread out. So I would have a lot of time by myself in the closets, like looking through music and records and old pictures and just like, exploring sounds, CDs, old vinyls, 45s, um, 8 tracks. Like I had like access to a lot of old music. So I grew up listening to a lot of that. Also the Beatles. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they definitely were in my ear, and they bit everybody. So,
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they
uh,
did.
not to say that
They all.
they don't have their own greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like they provided something for history and music. I'm not hating on that. But we all know the truth. We all know what's up.
Facts.
Jimi Hendrix was big on my playlist. Um, Jimmy was huge on my shit. Um, Growing up a lot by myself because my brothers and sisters were off in their own worlds, and it was just me kind of like trying to explore these things on my own. So I had a lot of punk influence, old punk, a band called Death, all black band from Detroit, punk
Mm.
rock. Um, that's why I have a lot of roots here in New York with Afro punk. Um, Shout outs to James Spooner, who's no longer involved with it, but he started it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, music has always been a part of my thing that I've always done. I took violin was my first classical trained instrument when I was in I want to say it was 6th grade was my first classically trained instrument was violin. Then I turned into jazz, keyboard, piano, and drum class. So I learned paradiddles,
Wow.
stuff like that. And then in high school, I did a cantanova class, was a singing class, like like a varsity level singing class, but I was a freshman. So I've always been involved in some singing and playing music since a young age, and have always been dabbling in production and just sounds in general.
So,
Wow, bro. I think that you just finished like taking like out of all our guests so far. I think that that might be the most diversity in like musicianship.
yeah.
There's a lot of like not to downplay anybody who came in, right? Like Blimes, the homie Blimes, right? And
Yeah, I
she
know.
she plays the guitar, like, and she played other instruments too. But I think that that might be like the amount that you listed might be like the record
No, but
right
by
now.
like 12 years old, the fact that you were already digging through crates to find sounds. You were already able to beatbox.
Yeah.
You're already doing the guitar thing off the jump.
Yeah, I didn't care about samples and like where like a lot of the hip hop stuff I was listening to as a teen came from until maybe like late teens, early 20s is when I started like caring about it. And it was like still like a curiosity more than care, right? Where it's like you're more curious about the thing that I love, which is the hip hop that I'm listening to, and therefore because I love that song so much, then I'll look into these songs that like birthed them, you know?
At 12, 13 years old, from like 10, actually, 10, 12, middle school ages, I was already in a group with my buddy. You guys probably know him, Peter Stanislaw, XI.
Oh, word. I know exactly.
Yeah, I was in a rap group with him and another one of our colleagues from school. We were doing shows at 10, at 10 years
Yo,
old. We were doing
we got to
shows.
go into more detail into this stuff. You have no idea how much I love to dig into this. Because, yo, look, it's super cool to be an adult banging out shit. It is exceptionally cool to be a 10-year-old banging out shit. And just to, like, throw it into context from how I see that.
The whole thing, like, it was us two, like, running around San Jose. You know, my dad, like I said, my dad was a musician, and like his dad, like his vinyl collection is so stupid. So I would always be at his house, and we would always be making music, making beats, writing songs. And these older guys were like, yo, who are these young little niggas like working, doing this shit? We got to link. And come to find out, you know, we started linking, and that's how Thunder Hut started for us.